Yesterday I showed the first card of Adam, Eye of Light, and I did say in a previous video, I might have been sitting here at the time, I've shifted the camera around, I did say that I was going to perhaps do a series on the cards of Adam, Eye of Light, and the cards were simply packed away in some place in the house. And a couple of days ago I wandered through the house and my hands moved around and I came up with these cards, and I'll show you. I cut the cards into, I think there's about 100 of them, and I started yesterday this one that ended up on top, the Guild Master, and so yesterday's video is really the Guild Master, okay? And so it looks like what I might be doing is I might be picking a card and talking about it, on the subject of it, okay? And today's subject is the card Vision. And a vision is the greatest experience a man or a lady can ever have. There's nothing greater in this world that anybody can experience than a vision. Somebody could say, well, I took LSD and I had an amazing experience. Well, yeah, that is an amazing experience. Yet you can have a similar, not a similar experience, it's a much more greater experience than what you might get on LSD, because it's not happening with the effect of any drug. It's simply being given to you as a gift from the Creator of all, the one who creates, the source of creation of the vision. Now, when we talk about the Creator, there's no Creator that's separate from man. Man is made in the image of God, and the Creator is in the image of man, okay? And so man's ideas of the Creator are made from his understanding of self and selfhood, okay? And so they say that no man has ever seen God, yet you can have a meeting with God. Doesn't generally present himself as a person, I don't believe, because it didn't happen to me, in a vision. A vision, God can give you a vision in which you experience some image that represents God, okay? And in my own case, I had a vision of a bronze shield. It looked like a shield, like it was bronze, and it had a face embossed into the shield. And it was, as far as I could see, it was like, to me it was the face of God, okay? Now, that wasn't the first vision I had other visions before that, and I haven't had many visions. Visions are not something that are common, but every philosopher will probably have visions, because if you read the ancient books, they talk about their visions, and some of the books are written about the vision, what the vision was and what it meant, and so on. So there's two aspects of the vision. There's the experiencing of the vision, and then the mind working through the experience as an event and determining from the intuition what the vision means, okay? Visions can be on different subjects, okay? So the vision I just explained to you is a vision where God presents himself to you and says, I am God, okay? That's one form of vision. Another form of vision is where God can show you the Garden of Eden, that there's a place, a better place in the world, or perhaps in the life after death, in the beyond, in our next life, that there's a better place waiting for us. Now, this is the most profound vision I ever had, because this vision happened whilst I was awake. A lot of visions come in the night or the early hours of the morning. We just simply, you're half awake, half asleep, and then you have the vision, and then you remember the vision. And a vision is a bit like a dream. It's more real, and it's more like an LSD experience than a dream experience. It's a completely tangible reality is presented to you, so that you cannot really tell the difference between reality and a dream in a vision. A dream is more, you know you had a dream. Okay, you wake up and you know you had a dream. And the same thing applies. You could wake up and know you had a vision, right? You could also be awake and know that you are having a vision, and you could be awake and know that you have had a vision. Okay. Now I'll tell you, I haven't had many visions like this. Not many. Could count them on the fingers of my hand how many visions of that sort I've had. I'll tell you of one of them. It was in the middle of the night, probably the midnight, early hours of the morning, and I was wandering around in the country, and there was a telephone booth on the side of the road. And for some reason I went into the telephone booth. I think I wanted to look at the directory. For some reason I wanted to look at the directory inside the phone booth. Okay. And so I did that for a while, and I came out of the phone booth. It was just night time, it was pitch black. And I looked up into the sky, and the next minute a hole appeared in the sky, a hole appeared. So it was black, it was like this. It was black around the edge. It was a normal world, the dark normal world with trees, telegraph poles and stuff like that. And then a hole appeared in the middle of that, and in that hole it was like a movie, okay, going on, and in that hole was a beautiful place of green. There was no buildings, there was nothing was touched in it by the hands of man, and there were fields and trees and fields, and in the fields were the animals, and they were all looking at me. They were all facing the same way. There were sheep, there were goats, there were cows, there were all the animals that one expect to see in a natural environment. Ducks and so on. And there weren't thousands of them, they were just like normally spread around, it wasn't like an exceptionally animal-filled vision, it was just like a normal populated field of animals, all looking at me. And the impression I got was, having seen the vision, and because the vision opened up and then it closed down, and I was left to walk in the night and consider and meditate upon the vision. And this was the first vision I'd ever had like this. Never had anything like this happen to me before. And my intuition told me that this was the future for us. It wasn't for me, it was for the human race. It was for the elect of God. That there was a place waiting for us in the future that was like the Garden of Eden. It was being prepared. A place had been prepared for us. Perhaps in another life, perhaps after death, that we might find ourselves in this other place. Another place, another time, another dimension. Who knows? Okay. And so, after I'd had this vision, I had no doubt, in my mind there is no doubt of an afterlife, and that there is something waiting for us, for those who do good, lead virtuous lives, and die in that virtuous position. Okay. I'll take a 5. The other thing that can come to you in visions is words. You can get strong words. And I remember in the vision of the animals that the words that came to me was that the animals are all waiting for us. They're waiting for us. They're there waiting for us. Okay. So there's another kind of vision which can be not so pleasant experience. And perhaps this vision is a kind of a test, really. A test. And so I'll explain to you this vision that I had. I've only had one vision like this, and mostly my visions are very pleasant experience. This was not a pleasant experience, yet afterwards it was pleasant. Because often an unpleasant experience is designed to purify us and make us ready for our next step on the great chain of being, which we're all on, moving step by step to higher positions in nature, okay? Closer to God and the angels. The angels are also not separate from humanity. Angels are simply highly evolved human beings. So, to come back to this other vision, I was in the forest at night again, and it was raining a little bit, not much, and I was standing under a tree, and all of a sudden a field, like a force field, like a dome, an iron dome, suddenly covered me, covered the place that I was in, covered me like a three-dimensional dome, including half the tree, and wherever I was, it was a tree, it was a ground, a muddy ground, yeah, or wet ground, and the tree in the rain was coming down, not strong, but continuously, and I was trapped. I'd been placed inside a prison. I could not move out of it. And then I started to get the lecture from God to say that I had been judged and I'd been found lacking, and all the things that I'd been found lacking of, and I'd been sentenced to spend 50,000 years in this prison, okay? And in this prison, the water was dripping on my head, and I had to stand. I couldn't get down on the ground, otherwise I'd just be covered in mud. So there was nowhere to rest, nowhere to relax, and no escape from the dripping. The rain wasn't raining on me. It was dripping from the branch of the tree onto my head. And so I spent a long time in this position inside this prison. And there's a drill going here. There's also a kind of a prison that people have to spend their life in. You know, construction. The construction industry is a bit like this, a bit like a prison. So it was reality to me. I was in this place. I had to suffer this. I knew I was going to be there for 50,000 years. I was there for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, how long? It was a good part of the night. I had to stand here and consider my situation and be talked to and be on my own, together with my sins and the knowledge of what I'd done with my life, what I hadn't done with my life, and the fact that now I had to accept my sentence of 50,000 years. Now, to be in such a position and know, because in the vision, it's real. It's real. This has actually happened to you. Yeah, it's not like, you know, it's like if you died and found yourself in this situation, found yourself in hell, like in the building site. You might find yourself, you might wake up in another life, you might wake up in a prison, who knows. And so I had to endure this for eternity, because every moment to a master, a guild master, every moment is an eternity, yeah? And so to be in this eternity and know you're going to be there for 50,000 years, it's a very, very serious thing. Okay, and so as the seriousness dawned on my consciousness, and I was faced with this and had to accept this and had to accept my guilt and had to accept the truth, right? And not rebel against God, and that this is a just sentence, yeah? This is a just sentence. Not to rebel against that. Nothing I can do, I have to accept it, okay? And I had to spend hours and hours and hours in this situation, locked in this thing, thinking I was going to be there for 50,000 years. And after some hours, 5 or 6 or 7 hours of this, the dome dissolved and I was freed from the prison. Okay, I did not expect it. Okay, and this is a test. This is a test that God can put you through to get to your place on the great chain of being. Okay, and so I share this with you because you may also have these tests, because Jesus said, "Greater things must you do than he did, than he had to do." And it's true. We all have to do greater things than Jesus did. Greater things, have greater visions. And all of us endure these things. Take 5. Well, I notice there's candles here, so I'm just going to light it, seeing as the water's there too, for some reason. Okay, I'm doing visions, and I now think about one of the other kind of visions that I've had, and this is a vision that I've had on a number of occasions, a number of different evolutions of the same thing, okay? And I did come across somebody else in history who's had these visions, and this was Hermas. There's a book called The Shepherd of Hermas, which talks about how Hermas meets the church in the form of a woman. And this also happened to me. And the first time I met the church, I was on pilgrimage. I was on a pilgrimage which I called Van Gogh's Doorway, in which I found myself sleeping in Van Gogh's orchard that he painted next to the place where he died, without knowing that I was even there. I did not know I was going on this pilgrimage to Van Gogh's place. Van Gogh was a great artist and I was becoming an artist, and so I needed to make pilgrimage to the sacred sites of where artists died, lived and worked and died. And I did not know this. I just woke up one day in Van Gogh's orchard and the lady appeared to me and said, come inside, because you normally had to pay. I had no money, and so she got me in for free into Van Gogh's place. I was able to see that. And I took a photo of Van Gogh's doorway, the entrance there, and that became the main photo of an exhibition that I eventually made called Van Gogh's Doorway. Now, on the way to Van Gogh's doorway, I was sleeping in a field somewhere. I was by bicycle. I went by bicycle, and so I had my bicycle, and I put my bedroll down on the ground, and I went to sleep, and I had a vision, well, the first vision where I met the church, and the church appeared to me as a very old and decrepit and in a terrible physical state, the church, needing help, needing my help, and my heart broke to see the church in this state. And I wrote a very, very profound, the next day when I woke up, I wrote a very, very profound poem, probably the most profound poem I'd ever written at that time, where I expounded on the state of the church. The church being all of the elect in the world, okay, and there weren't any. This is what what the vision meant, really. And so the church was dying. She was dying, and my heart went out to her. She was dying, virtually dying in my arms. Yeah. And since that time, some years passed, and I never saw the church again for some years. And you only know she's a church because it makes sense to you, yeah. And how she appears is interesting. I'm not going to go into details, but I did have other visions afterwards. And of recent times, I've had visions of the church. Not as profound as the first one I had, yet just keeping me in touch with the evolution of the church in the world and the state of it. And it's growing. The church is growing in the world, that's all I can say. And that when the church appears to me in the vision, this keeps me in tune with what's going on in the God's church, her church, because the church is a lady. It's not a man's business. The church, what happens after a philosopher dies is left in the hands of his lady, really. So that's why the church is represented in a vision as a lady. Okay. The special domain of the church. The special domain of the man is the book, and the lady is the church. You'll see the lady with the church in her hand. Elizabeth of Thuringia is portrayed with this, and Constantine the Great had the visions, but his mother had the church in her hand and rebuilt the church. It's a mystery, yeah, something you can think about. Perhaps you'll have visions of a lady, and I just let you know now that if it comes to you she's the church, then you must have seen the church. Okay. That's enough. I'm going to leave you on there. You can have visions of all sorts of things, but these are the main ones that I've had in my life to share with you, so that you know what a vision might be if you ever have one. Thanks for watching.